So the release has to be bigger. The release has to be a willingness that says any place and every place within me where I'm stuck, I am willing now to release and let something else flow. To let another energy pattern flow. To let something else happen and to let it flow. I apologize to the acupuncturist in the house, but this was the analogy that I gave. I said, I used to think of the way that this spiritual universe worked with me sometimes was like an acupuncturist. So, like the acupuncturist kind of like pokes around till they find the spot that hurts the most. Boom. And just stick a needle in it and twist the doggone thing around. But it dislodges some energy. See? And it lets some stuff flow. So you're complaining about a pain or something you have in your hand. Forgive me if I'm mixing this up, but you're complaining about something you have in your hand, but they stick the needle in your foot. And the foot on the other side. Not even the same side. Because we are all these meridians of energy. Feel that up? The spot where you're having the pain isn't the problem. It's just the evidence that there's a pain. It's just the evidence that there's a block, but that may not be where the block is. And you can spend all your time trying to do something with the hand, but it's someplace else. Maybe it's your spleen, but you got to stick your foot to get to that. Well, good, you're with me. That's how it is in life. Okay? Something happens to your car. Problem's not just the car. Okay? But that gives you an opportunity to take a look at some other stuff that may be going on. They're laughing at me because it's my car. I love my car. And I'm just finding out how emotionally attached I am to it. I was so happy I paid the doggone thing off in October. And I put about $4,000 in this car since October, thinking, oh, this is a good Volvo. I'm going to keep this for years and years and years. Well, I'd had some major work done on it. And that work has now been undone because this problem is so big. And I get the news on Tuesday from my mechanic, and just to make sure, I take this mechanic and the other mechanic in San Luis Obispo that fixed it. I get a three-way. I got to hear this from both of y'all. It's not that I'm not being, conscious of carpooling and everything. That car won't move. That's that's out there. So I get this news on Tuesday, and Wednesday I am trying to process this. Tuesday night, Valerie Joy is telling me, well, have you reached a point of release? And I said, yeah, I'll reach release when I can have my car back. That's when I'll be released. So I tell you how Spirit works. I'm really learning to follow. Really learning to follow. So there was this particular knapsack that had a bunch of my Bibles and stuff in it that had been sitting there. I just hadn't undone them. And this voice kept telling me, go put those things away. And I was like, I don't have to, why do I have to do that? I'm not doing it. So I open it up, and sure enough, this Pathway of Roses book is in there. And I just start flipping through it. And some of these passages that are being read just really grabbed me. And all of a sudden, I realized on Wednesday, I haven't written the affirmations. I go to my computer, and that affirmation we just read was the first thing that came out the day after I find out I got to let go of this car. About this pruning thing. And then I look and I notice, after the affirmations, I look at the topic. Release is evidence of trust. And I could feel that acupuncture needle just twisting a little bit more. And then I looked at the date, and I was like, oh, God, it was the anniversary of like something really huge in my life that I'd had to release. And I took a couple of breaths. And then I announced, I'm ready. I'm ready. See, now the part that I hadn't told you is that on my way back from Durham last Sunday, I had this epiphany that I had been in my own way. Imagine that. That there was just some resistance. And I'm not coming from an egotistical standpoint. There's something that comes up in my letters all the time about the bigness and what's supposed to happen. And suddenly something just clicked in. How Spirit always seems to give us something when it's too much for us to handle at the time. You know, like I remember when we first were gifted 40 chairs. We didn't have any place to put 40 chairs. Okay? But that was the evidence something was happening. And right before we moved into this place, we were gifted like 3 pianos and 3 organs. I was like, wow, there must be a really big place coming. You know? And it's like all of this. So it's been really worrying me that I'm sitting on thousands of copies of The Sacred Yes that I had bought from Sounds True. Extra inventory they had, and it's just been kind of sitting there. And I've been thinking of it as a burden and a bill. And that spirit voice turned around and says, oh no, you need it. You have to have the intent of being big enough for those thousands of copies that you have to circulate. Do you feel the difference in that? So I announced to Valerie Joy, I said, you know what? I'm ready to be rich. I said, I'm ready to be a #1 best-selling author. I am ready to stand in the power of whatever it is that God has for me, and I am releasing whatever resistance I have to that. So but follow this story here now. So I announced it on Monday, and I get this news on Tuesday. And I've been working, I was thinking, well, where could I come up with $6,000, $7,000 just to put a new engine in this car? And how can I save this car? And how can I save this car? And what can I do? And it just finally hit me. We said, wait a minute, it was 7 years ago you got that car, right when we moved in here. I announced that I'm ready. But I noticed, you feel where I'm going? I noticed myself not willing to release this car that I love so much that I'm attached to. I said, I don't know what's going to happen. But what I do know is that I spoke something, I put it into the universe. I did not expect it to be my car that I loved and wanted. But what I know is that the universe works in a package. Do you see what I'm saying? That if there was that part of me that was so resistant to letting this thing go and letting it go, I can't let this car, I can't let this car. And this image was coming to me, and I'll stop with this. I don't know why I'm telling all my business. But between that Tuesday and the Wednesday morning getting it, I keep having these pictures. God shows me pictures all the time. And I kept having, I hope this is okay, showing pictures of our honeymoon night. Gene Rutherford had arranged for us on October 10th, 2008, to get one of those big jacuzzi suites at Seascape. And I'd never done this before. This place is filled with rose petals. I mean, the tub, and we're just having a grand old time. But I kept noticing there was something going on with the toilet. Now, mind you, what has killed my car is sludge. Just sludge. So there was something going on with the toilet. And I'm like, oh, you gotta be kidding. So we're 10:30 at night, and they're running in and out, trying to fix the toilet. But I don't want to move. I got my rose petals in this jacuzzi. And everything, I'm just too through. I just got this one night. You got to be kidding, God. I won't release this room. So he said, well, you can have the room, but you have to use the bathroom like something in another room. So finally, I just kept hearing that spirit word because I had said the same thing. In the tub, I said, you know what? I think I'm ready to go like to another level. I had said it like maybe a half an hour, maybe 2 hours before that. So it just occurred. I said, tell them we're on our honeymoon. I was too mad to talk to anybody, so she was negotiating. And lo and behold, at midnight, we get moved into the 2-bedroom cabana, the most expensive room in the whole seascape. Its own like private ledge out looking and all that, and some extra hours on the back end. Okay? But I had to release, no extra money. Had to release what I knew, what I had, what seemed to be like so perfect. I didn't want to give that up. The Spirit kept showing me that, kept showing me this picture of my Volvo and those roses. So stay tuned. Stay tuned. We'll see. I don't know. Let's pray.